So this video is probably going to piss a lot of people off, and I hope not, because that's not why I made it. I made it to show people that the stories you're seeing on Facebook about the national parks being overcome by garbage and piles of trash and people pooping everywhere, it's just hype. It's the same story being repeated over and over again, and I'll demonstrate that. Now, I'm not saying that people aren't littering in the parks and the trash isn't overflowing. I'm sure that it is, and they'll clean it up after the shutdown. But what I want to show is that it's being overhyped, all based on one article. So if I click on this Huffington Post article, which is just an example of one of them being posted in one of the online groups on Facebook, I'm going to go down and pick out a phrase that is uncommon that wouldn't appear in this order in any search engine, and I'll just highlight it here. It's a quote by someone who works at California's Yosemite Park, they say. All right, so let's go search that term and see how many stories come up. So keep in mind, this is a phrase that doesn't appear randomly, so everything that comes up is a story that is the original story being quoted over and over and over again. And people keep posting it over and over and over again online. So there's roughly 10 results on the first page, maybe 9. Alright, so all the same story. Some of them posted 3 days ago. Click through. There's another page of results. Now notice they all have the same quote in them. It's all the same story. And yeah, you could have the same quote appear in more than one story, but I've gone in and looked at these. It's all the same story. You can do this yourself. So Google gave up. It said, look, we got a bunch of results, but they're similar to the 26 we already displayed. So let's look at the images. These are the images that appear associated with the phrase, and if you look under it, you can see that phrase. I've got 2 here that appear to have some trash. I'm going to go back to those in a minute. But most of the photos you're seeing here are stock photos of the national parks. Well, if there were mounds of trash and feces everywhere, why aren't there pictures of it? Now, I'm sure someone will create one in the next few days, which is why I'm doing this video on the 2nd. Little conspiracy theory for you there. Let's click on this one. Does this one show trash? No. Let's see. Get back to that one. Seeing a lot of stock photos of national parks. Here's one with trash. Let's see. Where is this? Okay. You may not think of the mall in Washington, D.C. as being a national park, but that's who takes care of it, as the Jefferson Memorial in the background. So there's a pile of trash in the wastebasket in Washington, D.C. Well, if you've ever been to Washington, D.C., that's nothing unusual. And that one, based on the trash receptacle being the same, is probably also Washington, D.C. in the mall. Looks like the sidewalk around it. Okay, now the photos are starting to break down and it's really not finding the story anymore. So we'll go back and look at the ones that have trash. I stopped and highlighted that one for the pointer. This one says, feces take a toll on national parks. Apparently feces burnt down this building. Okay, so let's go back and look at the photos that I think are authentic from the original story, based on what I was able to find on the oldest story. So here's a photo that looks like it could be a national park. I'll assume it is. And let's open the story so we can get a closer look at the photo. And now what I can see on my screen, I'll try to blow it up, is that there's a paper plate, a little bit of trash, some juice boxes there. So yeah, somebody definitely threw some trash there. But over here is a giant dumpster. If everything was overflowing, wouldn't you think people would throw the trash near the dumpster? No, maybe not. But I don't see a big pile of trash. What I see is the same litter that a certain number of dirt bags drop in the park all the time on any given day. Alright, so this photo is one of the original ones, and I believe it's taken at Half Dome. I think it says Yosemite. And there's a piece of trash on the ground. Now, if we look at the credit, hey, there's the person. Well, hold on, USA Today here. Okay. If you look at the caption, it's the person with the quote that I searched. And it says she works for the AP. So what you probably have is an independent reporter that wanted to create a story. So she took a piece of trash on the ground. Now, I'm going to say if I'm that close to the parking lot, I'm going to hike the extra 1.5 miles, 2 miles, and I'm going to get a photo of a giant pile of trash and human feces. Instead, I have a piece of Kleenex or something that's been on the ground for, I don't know, a month. Who knows? That's the pile of trash. So every time you read one of these stories and you see it repeated over and over and hyped, I think it's BS. And they may prove me wrong the next couple days, or someone will fabricate a pile of trash and come back and modify the story. That's why I'm doing it now on the 2nd of January. But my point is, people litter all the time, hikers poop on the ground, don't bury it sometimes. It shouldn't keep you out of the national parks. As a wise man once said, don't believe the hype.